The headlines are just, they're screaming, right? You turn on any news channel, you open any website, and it's this huge promise.
So it's everywhere.
A promise of financial relief. We're talking Social Security checks hitting, massive record highs in 2026.
And they have a very specific number they love to use.
They do. The number they're flashing everywhere. Beneficiaries could see up to $5,430 a month.
Ugh. And that is exactly the bait. That number, that $5,430 figure, it's a manufactured dream.
What do you mean manufactured?
It's a phantom, it's a ghost in the system, and it's designed to make you feel good, to inflate your expectations, because the actual reality for an American retiree in 2026 is going to be a pretty brutal financial check-in.
So almost nobody gets that.
Almost nobody.
But the narrative they're selling is so simple. A big cost of living adjustment is coming, bigger checks, relief is finally here for millions. It sounds like salvation.
But it's not. The thing is, 2026 isn't just a friendly routine adjustment. It's a system-wide financial reset, and it's all hidden behind that one big Shenley headline number.
A reset.
Yeah. They roll out the hype, and then quietly they stack 6 smaller but much more effective mechanisms of erosion.
Okay, what kind of mechanisms?
These are the changes that decide how much of that supposedly bigger check Medicare just automatically takes, how much the IRS decides to tax, and, whether your supposed raise even survives long enough to buy an extra gallon of milk.
So they're selling a dream.
They're selling a dream and delivering a dramatically smaller, eroded check.
We're talking about the difference between what sounds good in a press conference and what actually works when you sit down with your budget. The betrayal is in the details.
Exactly, the hidden details.
Yeah. And we're going to expose all 6 of them. Stay with us as we expose the full truth right here on News Focus Podcast. If you want the news they don't want you to hear, hit that subscribe button right now.
Okay, let's unpack this erosion. Let's start with the immediate hit, the one everyone talks about, the cost of living adjustment, the COLA.
Right.
The official projection for 2026 is a 2.8% increase.
And on the surface, 2.8%, it sounds like progress.
That sounds okay.
But that percentage, when you do the math, it translates, on average, to only about $56 more per month for the typical retiree.
$56.
And here's the crucial context they always leave out, that $56 is backward-looking damage control. It is not forward-looking relief.
Okay, backward-looking. I have to challenge that a little. It sounds like you're saying the COLA is always playing catch-up, but how far behind is it usually?
Yeah.
Because that feels important.
It's playing a perpetual losing game of catch-up. The calculation itself, it's based on inflation data from the third quarter of the previous year. Not even this year.
No. So by the time that 2.8% hits your account in January 2026, prices for housing, medical care, food especially, they've already been climbing for months.
So that $56 isn't a surplus?
Not at all. It's a desperate attempt to cover essential costs you have already paid for since last summer. Retirees are basically running just to break even. And that $56, it doesn't even get them back to square one on purchasing power.
So, okay, if I'm a retiree, I see $56 more in my account, but my grocery bill already went up $40 2 months ago. My utility costs jumped another $20 this month.
Exactly.
So my quality of life hasn't improved at all. I'm just slightly less behind than I was last week.
The entire increase is shrunk before it even registers in your checking account.
Wow.
And it's actually worse than just shrinking. It's being systematically absorbed. This little increase arrives the exact moment that other fixed mandatory costs are lined up, just ready to swallow it dollar for dollar.
And what's first in that line?
The primary culprit, Medicare Part B.
The Medicare offset trap. This is where it gets really, infuriating for millions of people.
It is. So in 2026, Medicare Part B premiums are set to rise again. That's just reflecting the rising cost of health care.
As they always do.
As they always do. But here's the mechanism that just blindsides people. Those premiums are automatically deducted from your Social Security check.
Automatically.
Before the money ever hits your bank. It's totally non-negotiable.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me the government gives me a $56 raise, but then automatically reaches into that check and takes back a big chunk of it immediately to cover a rising insurance cost without asking me? No way.
Precisely. And for some people, the erosion is total and it's guaranteed. This is because of something called the hold harmless provision.
Hold harmless? That sounds protective, right?
It was designed to be. It ensures that your net Social Security check, so the actual amount you get deposited, can't decrease from one year to the next just because of rising Part B premiums.
Okay, so it protects you from your check going down.
It does, but look at the strategic implication. If your CLA is $56, but the Part B premium is scheduled to rise by, let's say, $100,
Okay.
the whole harmless provision kicks in. It caps the Part B increase at $56, so your net check stays exactly the same as last year.
I see the trap now.
You're held harmless against a premium rise that exceeds your CLA, but
But it guarantees that for a huge number of retirees, the entire CLA increase is swallowed, dollar for dollar, by the mandatory rise in Medicare premiums.
that's it. You got it. Social Security CLA has quietly become Medicare's primary automatic funding mechanism for millions.
Your raise becomes their offset.
It immediately neutralizes the intended benefit. It's like, getting a promotion at work only to find out your health insurance contribution or your parking fees doubled overnight.
So you're technically ahead on paper?
On paper, yeah. But your actual disposable income is unchanged. Or sometimes, it's even worse, your net zero gain is disguised as this act of generosity from the system.
And this all gets compounded by these terrifying gaps in coverage. We heard that story, right? The retiree who had a fall, the ambulance was covered.
Yeah, but the hospital wasn't.
The closest trauma hospital was out of network for his specific Medicare Advantage plan.
And that's the danger that just wipes out months of careful budgeting. I mean, the rising Part B premiums, they erode your monthly cash flow. But these persistent gaps, the network restrictions, the deductibles, it means the real cost of healthcare isn't just the premium.
It's the threat of a catastrophic bill.
It's the looming threat of a huge, unshoppable bill. In an emergency, you go where they take you. And when that hospital is out of network, you're hit with a shocking, $900 or even greater unexpected bill for just the hospital part.
Because you can't shop around for networks when you're being wheeled into the ER.
Of course not.
The erosion starts right away with the offset, but the true cost, the real pain, is realized during a crisis. It's like financial quicksand.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And that quicksand leads us right into the biggest illusion of all, that maximum benefit headline. Let's talk about the number that grabbed all the attention. The $5,430 monthly maximum for 2026. It's everywhere.
It is pure expectation management. It's financial fiction for, I'd say, 99% of beneficiaries.
So what's the goal?
It's designed to create this massive expectation, which is then followed by crushing disappointment when the actual deposit hits and it's just a fraction of the hype. It serves to artificially inflate the public's perception of the program's generosity.
So who actually gets that jaw-dropping number? Because it sounds like this group is, I don't know, statistically irrelevant to the average person.
They are tiny, a tiny group. To hit that max number, you have to meet 3 really strict, non-negotiable requirements that span your entire working life.
Okay, what are they?
First, you must have worked for a minimum of 35 years.
That's a long time, but doable for many.
It is. Second, and this is the critical one, you must have had decades, literally decades, of maximum maxed out earnings.
So every single year, they were earning so much, they paid the maximum possible Social Security tax.
Every single year, for 35 years, they were high earners, consistently, for their entire career.
Okay, that's a small group already. What's the third requirement?
And this is the kicker that most people miss. You have to have demonstrated maximum financial patience by delaying collecting your benefits all the way until the absolute latest age, 70.
So you could have claimed earlier, but you waited.
You waited every possible year to maximize your delayed retirement credits. That combination of maximum income and maximum patience is just not the profile of the average retiree.
So the strategy is inflate the expectation.
Right.
So when you get your average, slightly improved check, you feel less like you were shortchanged and more like you just didn't personally qualify for the big prize.
Exactly. It creates an illusion that the system is generous when, in reality, it's just functioning incrementally for a tiny elite few.
And that illusion, I bet, ties right into the next hidden trap.
It does. It ties directly into the invisible tax hike, which is all about something called provisional income.
Okay.
When your benefit increases, even just modestly from that COLA, it can actually make more of your total Social Security benefit taxable.
Wait, they're taxing the benefit that already had taxes taken out of it my whole working life? And now, because they gave me $56 more a month, I could owe thousands more to the IRS. That is an absolute kick in the teeth.
That's the harsh reality of the provisional income threshold. And this is precisely where middle-class retirees feel genuinely punished for achieving just modest financial stability.
Okay, so walk us through that calculation again, very specifically.
Okay, so the system looks at your total income picture. It's your adjusted gross income, your AGI, plus any non-taxable interest, so think like municipal bonds. And then you add exactly half of your Social Security benefit to that.
Half of the benefit.
Half. That total number is your provisional income, and it determines your fate.
So if I have a small pension, or maybe I kept a tiny part-time job, or I have modest withdrawals from a retirement account.
You add all of those other incomes up, and then you layer in that increased Social Security benefit, even that tiny COLA bump. If that total number crosses certain thresholds,
This is the important part, right? The threshold.
this is key. These thresholds are not indexed to inflation like they should be. And when you cross one, suddenly a much larger portion of your benefit becomes taxable.
And these thresholds are decades old, right? That's the real source of the squeeze.
They were set back in 1983, and they are shockingly low compared to today's cost of living.
What are they?
For a single filer, if your provisional income crosses $25,000, boom, 50% of your benefit becomes taxable. If it crosses $34,000, up to 85% of your benefit is now taxable.
And for married couples.
It's $32,000 and $44,000 respectively.
I have to challenge this, though. I get the outrage, but isn't this just the system working as intended to make sure higher earners contribute more? Is it really a punishment?
That's a fair point. And the original intent was exactly that, to tax wealthy retirees with huge external incomes. But because those limits haven't been indexed for inflation in over 40 years, what used to be high income is now firmly middle class.
So a small pension and a slightly bigger Social Security check is enough to trigger this trap.
It is. A small pension, maybe some modest investment returns. It's enough to push you over the edge.
So let's run the numbers. Show me the cliff. Imagine a single retiree. Their provisional income is sitting right at, say, $33,999.
Okay, so at that level, they're having 50% of their benefits taxed. It's bad, but it's manageable.
Right. Now they get that 2.8% COLA, or maybe they just sell one small stock for a $500 gain.
That pushes their provisional income just over the $34,000 threshold, maybe to $34,200. They only increase their income by a couple $100.
But because they cross that cliff.
They now have to pay taxes on 85% of their total Social Security benefit.
Wow. So a tiny incremental gain, something that sounds like good news, could trigger a massive exponential increase in their total taxable income base,
Exactly.
forcing them to pay taxes on 35% more of their entire Social Security benefit. They gain maybe $200, but they might owe thousands more to the IRS.
It completely negates the purpose of the COLA, and it often cuts deep into the retiree's actual take-home pay from other sources. They are financially worse off not because they earned a lot more, but because the system's outdated thresholds just automatically punished inflation-driven growth.
And you only find out when the tax bill arrives in April.
Not through a warning letter in January. It's a silent erosion.
So they dangle this carrot of a bigger check, but that carrot is really a tripwire into a higher tax zone. And then you have the supposed relief, the $6,000 senior deduction. That sounds like the system finally throwing you a bone.
Ah, yes. The $6,000 senior deduction. This is another classic case of the headline sounding much, much better than the actual reality.
How so?
First, yes, it's age-based, so for people 65 or older. But the real deception is in the wording. It's a deduction, not a credit.
Okay, lay out the difference again, because those two words are crucial for your wallet.
A tax credit is what you really want. It reduces your final tax bill dollar for dollar. So a $6,000 credit saves you $6,000.
Simple enough.
A tax deduction, on the other hand, only reduces your taxable income. It just lowers the amount of money the government can apply the tax rate to.
So they dangle a $6,000 carrot, but it's a trick. What does that $6,000 deduction actually save someone in a middle tax bracket?
For someone in the 12% federal tax bracket, that $6,000 deduction translates into exactly $720 in actual realized tax savings.
So the headline is $6,000, but the actual benefit is less than $1,000 for a huge part of the population.
It's selective, minimal relief presented with maximum PR effort.
And I bet it gets even worse for people who actually did plan well, for the higher earners.
Oh, absolutely, because your income phases this deduction out completely. The moment you start earning above certain levels, that deduction shrinks. And if you cross another threshold, poof, it's gone entirely.
So this is why the system always squeezes the middle class the most.
That's the core of it. The relief turns selective very quickly.
It's the middle class retiree, They're not low income enough to be fully protected by assistance programs, but they're definitely not wealthy enough to just absorb these hits.
Exactly. Their margin for error just keeps shrinking.
These are the people who saved, who planned, who did everything right.
They followed the rules their whole lives, and yet they are exposed to every single one of these incremental, painful adjustments. And 2026 just tightens that margin even further. It punishes stability instead of rewarding it.
It makes you wonder why you'd even bother. Let's shift, though, because this isn't just about financial erosion, it's also about control. And one area where the system has incredible harsh control is the penalty for working while you're collecting benefits.
The earnings limits. Yeah.
Now look about those.
Now, in 2026, those limits will rise slightly, which, is technically good news. You can earn a little bit more before the penalty kicks in.
Okay.
But the penalty structure itself remains brutal. And this only applies if you're collecting benefits before your full retirement age.
Which is 67 for most people now.
Right. So what's the penalty? The system is basically saying you can work, but only up to this very specific low ceiling, or else.
And the or else is?
The penalty is severe. Social Security will withhold $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn over the annual limit.
A 50% benefit reduction.
An immediate 50% benefit reduction on those excess earnings. Let's make it real. The annual limit for 2025 was around $22,000. Let's just assume for 2026 it hits $23,000.
Okay, $23,000. So if I earn $25,000, that's $2,000 over the limit. What happens to my monthly check?
You exceeded the limit by $2,000. The SSA will then withhold half of that amount, $1,000, from your total benefits for the year.
$1,000 gone.
And that deduction is spread across your monthly checks, which results in a sudden, painful, and immediate reduction in your cash flow right when you needed that extra income the most.
And the SSA, they always say, oh, those withheld benefits are eventually credited back after you hit full retirement age.
Eventually credited back is the phrase they use to make it sound okay. But that doesn't help you when your monthly cash flow suddenly drops right now.
The credit is delayed by years.
By years, sometimes. This is where timing mistakes just devastate people. They decide to work a little extra, maybe a seasonal job, not realizing they've crossed that line, and then their Social Security check just gets cut unexpectedly.
So the person who needs the cash flow the most
is the one most likely to make this mistake and suffer an immediate cut. It actively discourages part-time work, which for many people is essential.
Right, not just for money, but for, staying active and engaged.
And the system doesn't warn you until the damage is already done.
Unbelievable. And speaking of friction, let's talk about the quiet tax increase that current workers are going to feel in 2026. The taxable wage base increase.
Right. This is something most retirees don't track, but it fundamentally affects the solvency of the whole system. The taxable wage base, or TWB, is the income ceiling on which we all pay Social Security tax.
And that ceiling is going up again.
It's going up again in 2026, as it does every year based on national wage data.
So higher earners, who are already carrying most of the load,
will now pay Social Security tax on an even bigger chunk of their income. The percentage rate doesn't change, but the total amount of income being taxed grows by thousands of dollars.
And that quietly reduces the take-home pay of current workers.
It does.
That's how they fund the system without having a big national debate. They just spread the cost across fewer people, the high earners, call it a routine adjustment, and hope nobody notices the slow drain on their paychecks.
It's a way to bring in more revenue for the program without the political fight of actually raising the FICA tax rate itself. It's incremental sustainability.
But how long can they keep pushing that ceiling up before it starts to feel like a de facto tax hike on the upper middle class every single year?
That is the critical question. It's this constant normalization of higher contributions from a smaller and smaller base of people. It doesn't spark the national outrage a sudden rate hike would, but it achieves the same result.
And that takes us to the final and maybe the most frustrating shift, the move toward digital first.
Yes. This affects access, accountability, and ultimately control.
The idea of automation and efficiency, it sounds great to a policymaker in Washington, but for the 80-year-old retiree who actually needs help, it sounds like a complete nightmare.
It is a complete nightmare for a huge segment of the population. Social Security is explicitly moving to a digital-first mindset. More online accounts, mandatory portals, more automation, and fewer human interactions.
So for an older retiree or someone with a disability who struggles with technology, what happens when something goes wrong? A lost password, a failed login, a sudden change in their benefit amount?
When something goes wrong, And things always go wrong in these massive bureaucratic systems. There is no counter to walk up to anymore.
The local office is gone.
That personal, localized accountability is disappearing. There's no human being who can physically look at your file and fix the error. You're left with a login screen, a complex digital form, or a chatbot that can only answer the most basic questions.
This isn't just about inconvenience, this is about control. If I lose access to my online portal, I lose control over my income. And there's no immediate human way to fix it.
Exactly. The friction of that human element is what kept the system accountable. When systems move entirely online, accountability just vanishes. It becomes terrifyingly easy for the system to make internal changes, to process errors without the public explanation or pushback that a face-to-face interaction demands.
And the result is what? Delays. Frustration.
Severe delay, crushing frustration, and often lost income while they try to sort out the digital paperwork. The system is prioritizing its own internal efficiency over the accessibility for the people it's supposed to serve.
So if we look at the whole picture for 2026, all 6 of these hidden changes, it's a clear pattern of erosion.
It's undeniable.
The government gives you the illusion of a raise, then ensures that the mandatory costs of living Medicare taxes immediately swallow it. And at the same time, they're making the system harder to access and navigate for the average person.
The pattern is so clear. The COLA goes up a little, but Medicare immediately takes more. The headline benefit number is financial fiction. Taxes claim a bigger share because of the provisional income rules.
Deductions shrink or disappear.
Right. Earnings penalties are immediate and harsh. And the whole system is becoming less human and less accountable as it moves online. The math just doesn't care about the headlines.
Wow.
If you put it all together, COLA goes up, Medicare takes more, taxes claim a bigger share, deductions shrink, and access becomes automated. You see why 2026 feels so confusing. Social Security didn't collapse, but it did adjust in ways that quietly drain disposable income for anyone who's unaware.
So the biggest losers.
The biggest losers are always those who passively assume the system will just handle it for them. Awareness and planning are now mandatory, not optional.
That's the reality we're facing. But I want to know what you think. Knowing that the cost of living adjustment is consistently absorbed by rising Medicare costs, should the government legally mandate that these increases be calculated after Medicare premiums are stabilized? Let us know your opinion in the comments below. We read every single one. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sophia. Thanks for listening to News Focus.